Hello, I'm John Fox on channel John West. I'm having a Torment Tides of Numenera adventure, and so I'm trying to figure out the mystery of, well, this little kid. There's a slaver. There's probably some things here. So I'm going to talk to these parents again, see if I can figure out what's going on. Zoom in before that happens. So, at your return, Paja and Kellanor are tense, but they do not look away from Jerim's adventures in the marketplace. Jerim has an interesting vocabulary. Where did he learn those words? You know, children, Paja says with a brief, unconvincing laugh. Mind's like an open bag, catching every bit of truth that gets thrown their way. Pay him no mind. Skist. He's asking a lot of questions. What did you decide? Why did you decide to adopt? Smooth kid. That's just the kind of thing people like talking about with strangers. Sorry, I was really confused because I thought they were answering. No, it's Alagan saying smooth kid. That's just the thing people enjoy talking about. Oh, I'm not embarrassed, Paja says, eyes gleaming. We love telling the story. Well, Kellanor and I, we've been together for how long? Let's see how long this one lasts. Years, Kellanor says with a glint in his eye. And we knew we wanted children, so we tried and tried. We tried a lot. Some days I barely had time to put clothes on before Kel took them off again. Interesting. Go on. Paja raises her eyebrows but continues. Well, there was poor Kel, practically falling asleep on the shift, forgetting his trousers half the time, and me with nothing to show for it but a glow on my cheeks. Clearly we were working with a barren field. Or faulty seeds, Kellanor adds. Deadpan does run in the family. How does that work? Let's continue. So we decided to find a child who needed a home rather than getting old trying to make one of our own, Paja says. That answer your question? More than adequately. No, sorry, I'm going to need more details. Ha! Paja says, swatting at you. I like this one, Kel. He hardly blushed at all. She leans in and lowers her voice. We get asked this question a lot, and finally we found that being explicit about the process usually makes the question just melt away. Blue Tide raised a tiny amount. You've been talking to the wrong sort of people then, Tibber says, grinning over at you. We just love asking questions. Kellanor chuckles at this, but says nothing more. What brings you here? Jerim likes it, Kellanor says, the stern expression around his eyes softened somewhat. We don't have much time between shifts, Paja explains, or money to spend on fripperies, so we bring him to the market when we can and watch him play. It's better than a night at the theatre. Farewell. I'm still confused.
Naturally.
But I can't figure out what's going on, so... Here is Tol Magur. As you approach, the wild-haired woman... Wild hair, wild hair. Oh, my hair, it's so wild. Eyes you oh, bloody hell, John. The wild-haired woman eyes you speculatively and whispers something to her companions. They burst out laughing, and a slight smirk plays about her lips. A breathing mask dangles from a cord around her neck, and you can see where it's cut permanent grooves into her face. She ruffles her hair, messing it further, and sings out, "Come to buy a slave, cast-off! If you've come to me, you must want something of the sort." He's a fresh one. I can smell it on him. Ah, people salesman. How'd you know I'm a cast-off? The tattoo, buddy! There you go, the tattoo. I've had dealings with your kind before. I know about you. She rakes her fingers through her hair. If anything, the motion serves to obscure her vision even more. So, cast-off, I have information you might want. Of course, comes with a price. What kind of information? You think you'll get it from me that easily? I don't think so. I know your type. You cast-offs. Not one of you can be trusted. I give you this information, you've gone before I can collect my price. So you'll forgive me if I decline to set outright what secrets I hold.
I'll remember that.
The beloved slave. One of my wards has run off. She's taken a head wound. Not my doing, and I've been watching after her. I don't know where she's gone, but I suspect she's headed to Cliff's Edge. Plenty of other urchins clamouring about the place, and she'd find it easy to blend in. Sadly, My troop and I are detained here, so we can't go ourselves. These lack-nibbers are tired of hunting her. Damn girl hides well. Too well. She's a scrawny child. Name of Rin. Oh, I recognise that name. Head wound, but it goes covered by dark curly hair. Has a little necklace around her throat. Babbles about her gods. Go get her for me, and I'll tell you what you want to know. Yes, it's a bit of a shame I recognise that name, but it's quite distinctive in reviews and stuff. So, answer a few questions for me first. She sighs. Fine. Tell me about yourself. I'm a slaver. I'm the last person you want to make an enemy. I've got a reputation for coming through on my word. Nothing else need concern you. Can you tell me about the Order of Truth? You want to deal with them? Be my guest. Those pompous Aeon priests are up by the government square. They think they can unlock the secrets of the past, but they're not focusing on what's most important, which is creating for the future. They say they're studying, learning, but the fact is they're not doing anything useful. Don't let them tell you otherwise. I've had some questions about the cult of the changing god. Her lip curls. Delusional meaning seekers. They spend their time chasing their imaginary deity, ignoring what it means to be alive. Oh, what has he done now, they say. Can I tongue his divine arse? As if knowing his life makes theirs any better. I have 4 different answers. By studying his actions, they might be able to replicate his successes. I'm with you, they seem like cause to fame and power. If studying his life provides meaning to theirs, who are you to judge? And they're misguided. The only way to understand life is to experience it. I'm gonna try and be nice. If studying their life provides meaning to theirs, who are you to judge? Who am I to judge? Just another person watching some dim globes waste their lives on fruitless pursuit. They can follow all that fraud all they like. Totally up to them. But don't expect me to cheer stupidity on. That's a fair enough answer, to be honest. I was just trying to be nice, though. I have some questions about slavery. It's not so bad, not horrific. Almost no one sells them for parts anymore. Fact is, most of them go down to the Bloom, where they can work off their debt to society by opening a moor or two. It's not a forever thing, it's a punishment. I have some questions about Sage's Cliffs. Ask someone who cares. I think the cities are sure. Alright, farewell.
Thanks for getting rid of Calestige. You have no idea what it's like traveling with her. Though I suppose you've had a taste, even from that short trial.
There we go. He scuffs his toe on the ground and looks away. I'm going to say this once, and I'm not much of a talker, but, you know, I have questions about your identity that you're willing to bring me on, says something about you. That is... what that is, I'm not sure yet. Still, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll help where I can. Clear? Yes. So that's settled. I want to talk about people we're... what do you think of Tabir? A liar and a know-nothing. At least he doesn't expect you to hold up your side of a conversation. Very true. I can entertain myself and countless others for hours. Good. Why don't you go looking for them? Let's talk about something else. What's your story? Not exactly my favourite topic. Fine, ask. Did you and Calestige have a relationship? He grunts. If you can call clawing and scratching each other a relationship, then I suppose... His eyes grow far away. It was pleasant at the beginning. I needed solace and she needed validation, perhaps. But when I failed her, she grew bitter and cutting, and I never heard the end of it. She used her words like a whip, and she cut me down to the bone. Can you tell me about your history? He watches silently for a minute, considering his words. I'm not from around here. I was the local Aeon priest for a small aldea, Orman, it was called, far west of here. Things happened, I left, here I am. He's got nowhere to go back to. What things? Shakes his head slowly. I'm not ready to talk about that yet. So you were an Aeon priest. What's the story with that? I'd worked with them for years, but when I came to them for help, they refused me. They gave me no time, no resources, and no aid. They said I had to give up my researches. Said I was... He bites off the last word. Obsessed, they said. Heartless bastard. How could I not be? He grunts and looks away. The Order of Truth and I don't get on. They think I'm carked, and I think they're frauds. We exchange these little pleasantries every time we meet. Can you tell me who's your friend at the Order of Truth? Orf Fang. He does little research for me from time to time, personal work. Why do the Aeon Priest think you're carked? Because I speak my mind to them. Can you tell me about your tattoos? They almost look alive. These, they're nothing. Okay, no, I know this one. How did you come to travel with Calistege? When the Order of Truth failed me, I sought others' help. Calistege was known for finding things, so despite her reputation for being unreliable, I approached her and she accepted, provided I help her find a way to achieve her transcendence. His eyes go far away for a moment. She seemed so kind at first, but when it became clear neither of us could help the other, she became cruel and spiteful. I don't know why I stayed after that, or why she stayed with me. Habit, I guess. I had other questions. I don't think I do, actually. Alright, let's continue on.
Yes.
Right. I'm not sure. Several pieces. The creature depicted appears to almost lunge out the stone, almost as if hurtling itself at the sculpture. Perhaps. No,
Absolutely.
it's not finished. Right.
Ready.
Let's talk to Jerem one more time. You keep using words I don't recognise. Where did you hear them? I'm not allowed to tell adults about that, or about where I'm from. His gaze steals to Paja and Kellenor, both of whom are suddenly taking a greater interest in your conversation. Don't ask, eh? I'm in so much trouble, I'm not even sure what I did. Oh, I hate to see this, Tibber says, raising his eye to the sky. Such a bright and promising lad. He's already keeping terrible secrets from his elders. What? Jerem says, squinting up at him. No, it's not like that. It's nothing rancid. I just promised I'd stay quiet, right? Tibber gives you a barely perceptible jerk of his chin, urging you on. I like that. So my companions just go on, extra. Keep going. He's right, Jerem. You shouldn't be ashamed of the truth. Tibber nods in solemn agreement. You can't help noticing that he looks somewhat ashamed. Jerem wavers, looking between his adopted parents and the two of you. Finally, he gives up. Alright, I guess I can tell you, but you can't spread it around, right? Alright, tell me about where you're from. Here, Shuva, he says, brow crinkling in frustration. I'm from here. It just up and changed without me. I had a feeling he was. He's from the past. I grew up in the Downs. My parents lost their spots on the work chain, and we went to sleep hungry more and more. Neither of them could look at me without crying, he swallows. But everyone in the Downs was starving. Wasn't anything new. People started using that archway more and more. He pauses, scanning your face. The Downs have changed too. I can see it on his face. What are the Downs? Jerem sighs. Also, I get some blue. If you weren't in the families in the up, everyone else is the Downs. Inside the wreckage, we dig deep, looking for food first, warm second. My neighbourhood was inside this curvy spiral. If you've ever seen paintings of a seashell, it's like that. Oh, I see. Tell me about the archway you mentioned. Big thing. Always good smells coming out of it too, like roasting meat and sunny days. I used to watch it, but I was never sure what it was for, you know, and the parents in the Downs never talked about it either. He shrugs without looking at you. Then one morning I saw Corna, a friend of mine, and her Mard go up. Mard gives her a kiss and sends her through, and Corna never came out again. No, what did though? Food? Ha! No. That'd be cruel for Corner's Ma to lose a girl and gain a meal. But no, it was a metal ring, he says, lowering his voice to a confidential, bloody hell John, that's a normal word, whisper. Didn't look to be worth much, but every once in a while you'd hear Corner laughing, wherever she was. She was happy, right? He raises his hand to his cheek, and then continues. Handful of days pass and my ma takes me for a walk too. Said she'd find me when they'd saved the money, kissed me and pushed me through. Woke up outside another archway. Up in Government Square, Paja and Kellenor were waiting for me there. Jerem rubs his nose. They're not so bad, but I keep hoping my parents will stop by to visit, even if they don't have the money yet. He pauses, rubbing at the sudden moisture in his eyes. I try to laugh a lot so they can hear me, though. Aww. So people are adopting children to the future. Not adopting, you know what I mean. Alright, farewell. Let's talk to his parents. Wise. Jerem told me about the door he went through to get here. What's going on? Had to pry, didn't you? Kellenor growls. Calm down, Kel, Paja says, putting her hand on his chest. Stranger, can we convince you to leave this alone? Please, for the sake of our family. If Jerem finds out, I'm terrified to think what will happen. I just want to know what's going on here. I won't tell anyone. She bites her lips and searches your eyes. Kellenor's hand slides over her shoulder to cup the back of her neck. Maybe you're true to your word, maybe you're not. The more we argue, Paja hisses, the more likely Jerem will overhear. Her eyes shift to you, wary and despairing. Oh look, got an achievement. Jerem got here through the House of Empty Time. He comes from Sages, like us, only centuries in the past. That's why his speech is different. Why he remembers places that aren't here anymore. She jabs your chest with a calloused finger. Keep this to yourself. We'll tell him ourselves when we find a kind way of letting the child know that everyone he knows and loves is long dead and dust. I'll kick the skist out of him if he breaks my little boy's heart. Right. I won't be the one to tell him, but you should. And soon. You're right, Paja says, and we will. I promise. Tell me more about the House of Empty Time. We don't know any more than we told you, she says, shrugging. Find the house's keeper and ask her. Her name was... She trails off, forehead creased in thought. Alson Peary, keeper of the House of Empty Time. You might find her in the Government Square. Thank you, Kel. I couldn't hold on to the name if it was buried in a bag of shins, Paja says cheerfully. Anyway, the very moment we decided to adopt, she was knocking on our door. We were nervous, but you can't argue with the results. Right, farewell. I'm gonna save my game. I'm not gonna tell him, but I don't want to. But I do want to talk to him, so I don't want to accidentally screw up. See, I can. So let's.
Yes.
Let's keep our promise.
Yes.
And move on. I want to hear more stories about your past. Certainly. Ah. Can you tell me more tales from your earlier days? Too many, he says, chuckling. But I think I've wasted enough words on myself. If you're still hungry for new stories, can a dude deserves a turn. Ask him about his hammer. It deserves several epics of his own. Tell him about the door, old friend. I can still taste the butterflies. Oh well. El Jinto told me to ask for stories about your hammer. Did he? Kanadu says, glaring at El Jinto. His partner waves cheerily. How generous of him. Kanadu unlimbers his sledgehammer and thrusts it under your nose. Countless scars, nicks and gouges decorates its dull surface. Ask about the damage. I'll tell you where it came from. He knows I hate telling stories. He's getting back at me for that singing door. Alright, the 3 craters on the side of its head. I stepped through a puddle in the cloud crystal sky fields. Turns out to be a quish amis. It rose up, shot a spine through my ankle. Shot a bunch more, but I blocked them with the hammer. Limped over and bashed it to juicy pieces. He spits. There's a rumour that wearing their hearts makes you see visions from a lover's past. Not true. Worth a chunk of shins, though. Those burn marks on the handle. Spent a stormy night in an inn on a bell tower. A man made out of green fire crawled out of the fireplace. Asked to hold the hammer. I was drunk at that point, so I didn't see why not. Kanadu rolls his eyes. He starts screaming. Behold, I lay claim to the hammer of dawn. I am the master of storms, skissed like that. Without opening her eyes, the innkeeper walks over, kicks him in the fork so hard he vanishes, and then goes back to bed. Never saw him again. How about the gouge on the face? El Jinto got trapped behind this singing door, made entirely of shiny white stone. Pounding on it only made the pearly lac nibber sing louder. Finally, I got the idea to sing along with it. Door started weeping and swung open. El Jinto stood there, blinking, trying to explain what he saw inside. Nothing came out of his mouth but butterflies for 3 days. Of course, I made him go in first. He still won't let me forget it. At least I got him out. Deep scratch on the handle. I did that, he admits. He looks embarrassed. El Jinto and I spent a few years running from the assassins of the priest king Tharimals. One of them blew some sparkly dust in my face before I caved his skull in. He clears his throat. Spent a week hallucinating that everything around me could bleed. Rocks, trees, water, everything. Funny thing though, I wasn't all wrong. Turns out that everything bleeds when you scratch it hard enough. Everything but my hammer. I stepped through a puddle. Oh, hang on. I didn't mean to click on that. Is the hammer powered, cursed or infused in any way? No, it's just a hammer. Had it most of my life. How's your hammer lasted so many years? My dad made it, he says, something in the dark flickers of it in his eyes. Could make a hammer, my dad. Alright, farewell.
Let's go.
Right. I think we've done everything.
Yes.
Nope. Here's the genocide. This burly armor-clad figure stands almost motionless as you approach. He regards you silently with his singular eye. The studs on his arm and the blades on his shoulder are stained with and pitted with age. When he speaks, his voice is muffled and artificial, a hollow grumble that emanates from the entirety of the helmet. I am the Genocide. If you ask, I must answer. Pass on, then, and exchange no words. His surface thoughts are like a crystal pool, alternately transparent or else perfectly reflecting his words. His mind reveals nothing hidden except for a low-level hatred of everything around him. This latter is more of a feeling you get than an actual thought you hear. What are you? I am a blade that cannot cut, a weapon that cannot strike, a living monument to failure. He shifts his weight, you hear the frown in his voice. I was Ogesti Tel Kotu, the firm hand of tradition. They called me one of the Black Three. Enemies did not understand us. They took my name to mean death in a dozen extinct tongues. Called me Orphan Maker, Hope Smasher, death's child. My armies blackened the earth and the skies. My dragoliths scoured the lands. Domination was my duty. If they had known, if they had welcomed us, they might have been our thralls. Instead they became dust. He gestures. All this, it was to be mine in stewardship for the future of my people. It was promised. But now... His arms fall back to his side. Now I am the Genocide. A relict. The last of my kind. You said you were the last of your kind. Why? I know of no others. Kalagat Anvor, he who shares truth and understanding, is dead. Vostole, lo, the blinding light of reason was destroyed. The underspine has fallen. My people are destroyed utterly, and our servant God speaks to us no longer. The clean lines of order and glory of battle have forsaken us. He pauses. The rest are dust. We rose against a superior foe and were outmatched. Only I remain to tell the story of the Tabat. Ah, heard of you. You said that you had to answer if I asked. Why? From within the helmet you hear a grinding noise, the sound of teeth gnashing amplified. Then their voice again, bleak. We sat at a river's edge and we wept for the time that was. We saw nothing more to conquer, and yet our fear still drove us. We had conquered the land, purged its impurities, made it ours. Still we wanted more. When we heard that humans had come to carve a home, we rejoiced to have a new foe, a new test of our truth. We rode against them. We drove them to the forge of the night sky, to the valley of Jolios, to the dangers of the Black Riage. But those who built atop these ruins, they thwarted us, time and again, and so we brought our constructs and our deadliest warriors to the bay outside the city. We laid a mighty siege. We entered the human settlement. We fought past barricades and traps. Some of our constructs are still here, silent and dead. But when we thought we have achieved our greatest victory... He lowers his head. A powerful nano saved them. With his magic, he called upon the strength of the ancients and captured us. I thought my life was at an end, but he imprisoned me and slowed time. Trapped me in my body, used my machines to paralyze my will. I still remember our glories, and I see the faded future in front of me, and I am powerless to act. The memories of our triumph remains always at the forefront of my mind, and I must answer the mocking questions of these people, or suffer. Can you tell me about the Nano who trapped you here? How did he stop you? The Genocide raises his hands into feet. He found old knowledge and made it his own. He created defenses that we could not penetrate. Most telling, most effective, the shield generators. He created free barriers around the heart of the city, and the last unmoored the city in time. When our constructs touched it, they flashed to stasis. We could not reach the city, but the city could reach us. You feel the ticklings of memory as the Genocide speaks of the shields. Continues to talk, oblivious. Let the memories come! It's a patchy memory, coming in still images and moments. The relentless beat of the war machines as they approach the city and reavers in the skies on their dirigibles. You remember fighting them on the parapet. You remember fleeing into safety of the city. You recall making your way to the shield generators, cutting off the Tabat supply lines, and the memory fades. The Genocide watches you silently. This is cool. You seem very calm for someone who's been in prison for centuries. Yeah, because he's been robbed of his will. I've been defeated. I have nothing to fight for. My captor castrated me with a tool they made to dampen my natural urges. I can remember the actions. I can recall the glory, but I feel shame, regret. I'm weakened, but it's not my volition. The Genocide squeezes his fists. What does it matter? Those who stood against me are all dead. I'm victorious. I no longer fight with a blade. My weapon is time. He leans in closer. I do not die. I cannot be wounded. I'm held like a beetle in sap. Why would I not be serene? He settles back. The Underspine spoke of my destiny. I was to wage war onto the edge of the universe. But the universe keeps going, and so, it seems, must I. Someday, I will be free. Someday, until then, I'm incorruptible. How did they stop you from trying to escape? The Nano, who raised the city's shields, created a device. He called it the Mind Seer. With it, he violated my mind, my memories, and everything that was at the core of my being. In a fit of vengeance, he tore truths from me. He tore truths. He made me betray my people. He rewrote my mind. He gave me perfect clarity into the past and gilded my ability to shape the future. The Tabat never sought revenge against foes who were mightier than we. We devised stratagems to defeat them. We tested ourselves. We do not punish or hate. Punishment was purification. This, though, is torture. The worst of the city's refuse can mock me now. They can ridicule and jape. I am powerless to strike them for their impudence. Then quieter. And now they do not even do that. I've become a fixture. An irrelevance. A non-entity. I am slave to... You hear his teeth grinding as he thinks for the perfect insult. To peacemakers. I must endure their presence and feel their corruption sink into me daily. Some foreign parts of me desires it. He thumps his fist into his hand. But I remember that I will triumph over them. Eventually they will die, and I will not. The Nano who defeated you... Oh, no, hang on. I won't say that yet. I'll come back to that. You mentioned the Tabat. Who or what were they? My people. His voice is forlorn. My people. Great warriors, we owned this land. We served the Underspine, and it served us. We sought truth and victory. We ascended to epiphany. We were pure, incorruptible, indivisible, even in disunity. That's how did you do that? We found strength in one another and proved it with bloody blades. But we fell, and the Underspine fell. And so, too late, we learned a new truth. But I carry the old ways as a seed within my heart. So, you mentioned the names of some of the Tabat. Can you tell me about them? Kalagat Anvor, the strongest mind of the Black Three. None could stand before him when he bent his mind to their unravelling. Intricate, careful, overwhelming. Volstelay Low, a methodical planner, collector of curiosities, toolsmith and construct waker. It was he who brought the ancient machine to life. And there were ancient machines to them. And I, the knife, the strategist, the blade in their hands, we three were unstoppable. Until Sage's Cliffs. Until then, until the corruption of defeat. Why did the Tabat fight so much? For honour, for truth, for the one way, because it was our duty. We were born to the blade, so it was written, so we chose. Free will is a curse unless given to a greater purpose. I'm just going to pour out more tea. We were born to the blade. Oh no, hang on. Our purpose was given to us by the Underspine. Given to the Underspine by our ancestors who found it and crystallized our essence forever. Can you tell me about the Underspine? Our slave, our god, our prize. It kept us holy, kept us pure and unchanging. Anchored to a fixed point. The world turned around us, but we remained constant. When the world brought inconsistency, we fed it blood. He pauses. The Underspine was our soul, our confessor. We knew clean, hard rapture from it. We knew our path. It gave us words of the ancient Tabat. And our path was rigid and unbending. Absolute. What was the Underspine? He considers. You would not understand. It was a machine. It was stone. It was a cavern. It was a city. It was the direct voice of our ancestors. It spoke in our heads, and in our ears, and in our hearts. We heard its voice in our creches. Creches? Creches? It's not a word I've ever had to use. In our daily instructions. Our God was true and strong and singular. not the fickle, inconsistent things of the modern day. What is the benefit of the absolute path? We had no questions about our duty, about our goals, only the particulars. We erased doubts in the purity of utter certainty. Questions raised are questions answered, or they are heresy. No need for self-agony. The necessity of introspection was transmuted into the optimization of our paths, to fashioning ourselves into the pinnacle of our achievement. Clear definition in life creates truth, not this pitiful shadow. What happened to the underspine? You can hear the frown in his voice. Sabotage or failure. One of those under my command told me that it had whispered defeat into his ears, as if it had sickened, lost sight of the true path. Given the question, the underspine denied this. My soldier was cast out, and I suffered the barb for his doubt. It was later, years later, that the underspine broke. After our failure, and I had never been so sure if the seeds of our defeat were planted in those days. The nano who captured me, who nailed me to time, he used the mind seer to ferret out the underspine's location. I do not know if he ever found it in the world. He raped a genocide from me, mocked me with his sobriquet. I was not to blame. I will not stand before the underspine and swear my innocence. If your path was unbending, it's no wonder you broke. I do not bend now. I've been driven down, but I do not bend. I live... See, yeah, I don't know what... I live and those stood against me are dead. He turns away from you slightly. Do you have more questions, or do you release me? I have more questions. The nano who defeated you was the changing god. He and his children still live. His voice is flat and dead. Others have claimed this. I do not know if they say this to torment me, but if our enemy was a god, even if he was once but a man, then to stand against him is to spit in the face of the divine. The Tabat were a holy people. Humans do not believe it, but our rights were as sacred to us as they were profane to your kind. We accepted the will of the ineffable. Any who still live may yet find the mantle of godhood. To be divine is to be beyond the rule of moral ethics. Those who would be gods must cast aside these concerns if they are to turn against the old teachings. So, shield generators. Alright, yeah. I told you of their effect. They unmoored the city in time. They severed our supply lines and they left us vulnerable and defeated us. The underspine strategy failed us. I began to doubt. The generators are unused, abandoned, their purpose forgotten. Though the people of the city still swear by our name, and our terrors are fresh in their nightmare. Despite the passage of centuries, they have forgotten the means of their salvation. This one beside me no longer functions, but one of the others is buried in the ground, not far from here, and is not yet failed. Powers the clock around which those ridiculous fools prance. Right, I have no more questions. Farewell. No, I wish you no good tidings.
Of course.
The machine towers above you like a dagger driven into the ground by a giant. It seems much older than the surrounding buildings. Your hands itch to touch the array of dark panels scattered around the machine, so they have touched them before. I'm going to try and remember why this machine feels so familiar. And I'm going to use... Yes! Wonderful. Success! You close your eyes to better concentrate, sinking into the currents of a memory that does not belong to you, or at least does not to the body you are in, and you hear the thunderous heartbeat of optional generator calling you from across the centuries. You open cold, focused eyes, ignoring the screams, the drifting tangles of black smoke. Your attention is solely focused on the health of the machine's heartbeat. You reach into the hissing guts of the generator, adjusting and tuning, hoping. The heartbeat fades into the past. Your bloody hand rests on a rusty surface on the long dead generator. Let's examine the device. Your hands slip over the cobbled together components and greasy cables. The buttons, worn by frequent use, It's a strange accomplishment, this machine. Clumsy but deft, amateurish but masterful. Only a brilliant mind could have melded so many disparate parts into a functional device. Unfamiliar memories whisper to you. This device was used, though you don't know how, to generate a field that unmoored everything within it from time itself. Your fingers scrape a rough patch, lifting them. You see a circonate symbol etched into the side like a maker's mark. Right.
I'm ready.
There's a performer.
Fine.
Let's go up these steps.
I'm ready.
Heavy and medium armor inflicts penalty on your might and speed stat pools while equipped. Glaive shrugs off some of those penalties, and others may reduce them further. Ah, that's why. Oh look, it's one of those creatures. That's why that armor I've got is a bit crap for me.
My friend, Orthfong, at the Order of Truth, was looking into something for me. I'd like to stop by there. Problem is, most of the priests and I don't get along too well. They might not want to talk to me.
Why won't they want to talk to you? Like I said, we don't get along probably because I called them out on their timidity and their barring, scraping to the slave families. But hells, maybe they've forgotten. Frauds, all of them. They care more about advancement than helping anyone. Alright, I'll ask them. So, let's save my game. Government Square.
Done.
Oh, he's a dignitary. There's a Ayin, who knows? Ah, Sangolan. A tall, thin, and exquisitely dressed older man stands in the shade of an exquisitely crafted stall. The cut, colour, and quality of his clothes are a symphony of harmonious coordination, while the expression of a benevolent condescension he gives you would be more at home on the face of a king. "Good afternoon," he says, bowing slightly. "I am Sangolan, and this is my store, Sangolan's Fittings. Welcome. How may I be of service?" What do you sell here? "I sell the finest city wear for discerning men and women, as well as quality armour for those travelling to less civilized locales." He clears his throat and directs your attention to a well-mannered mannequin wearing the badge of a city official. "Also, it is our honour to have been chosen to provide the city of Sage's Cliffs with official badges worn by all properly credentialed city employees. You may trust in their trust in us." Yeah, so I could have used that for the mission. The first mission I actually did. Tell me about Government Square. "Of course, sir." He puts a finger to his chin. "Let me think. There's a council tower just over there, and the Order of Truth, and you can't forget the red thicket and walled courtyard on the edge of the square. Or were you curious about our fountain here? Tell me about the council tower." "It is ancient beyond reckoning. The tower's roots go all the way down to the forges in the underbelly, and within it sits the Council of Sage's Cliffs, the finest, fairest legislative body in the 9th world. And I don't say that just because they are my most valued patrons. They have run this city well for centuries, and thanks to me, they look magnificent doing it." "Tell me about the Order of Truth." "They are a credit to our city. Wise scholars and deep thinkers," he smiles, "excellent customers as well. They are very particular in their robes." "Tell me about the red thicket." "The Whispering Wood, I call it. A very curious and ancient place. You can speak as loudly as you like in there, but your partner can hear you. But none but your partner can hear you. A great place for diplomacy." "Tell me about the fountain." "One of the stranger and more poignant attractions in the square. The creatures in it are called Jallies, and they chatter in 1,000 dead tongues. The priests say that there's a new Jali born each time an old language dies. He shakes his head. You could listen to them for a month and never hear the same language twice or understand a single one. Let me ask about something else. Tell me what you know about the people in this district. I'm not one to gossip, but if you insist, who do you wish to know about? Have you seen a white-skinned, hard-faced woman in the neighbourhood? Very tough and dangerous looking. He frowns for a moment, thinking, then nods. Yes. In fact, I believe I sold her a cloak once. The way she wore it, it seemed as if she wished to hide her face. With a face like that, I could readily understand. He looks in the direction of the council building. I got the impression that she might do secret work for the families, but I wasn't about to ask. Oh no, that's the only one. Oh. What do you have to sell? I've still got no money, but... Right, let's move my face off the screen. So, there's a leather jacket. I don't care about anything that gives me minus. So, micro mesh. This gives me lots of 2 armor and 3 resistance. Better. Grounding cloak. A shield. I could probably do with a shield. Who knows though? I've not actually made any money. Oh, hang on. There's my face. I've not made any money or been in any fights. So, yeah. Wait, I feel like you should have more stuff. You know what? I may as well sell this. He sells it for 80. You know what? I probably shouldn't have sold that, but I can't buy it back now. There's no buyback thing. What's happening there? Anyway, I've got a bit of money now, so I can sleep if I really need to.
Of course.
So here's Alton Peary. This woman seems to be absorbed by what she's doing, her blue eyes narrowed in concentration. You realise that she's the nicest looking person you've seen in a while, and feel almost compelled to approach her. She shakes out the golden cloth she's examining and holds it up to the light. Such beautiful colours, she murmurs. She meets your gaze. It would look lovely on you. Can you tell me about this place? Of course. This is Government Square, home to the City Council and the Order of Truth. The rest is embassies and city records, but you might enjoy a stop at the Red Thicket. She points to the redstone enclosure nearby. Who are you? My name is Alton Peary. You can call me Alton if you like. She offers a tentative smile. I'm a chirurgeon. It's like a surgeon of chi. I could probably just read the rest and it will tell me. But I work mostly with children. You know, healing scraped knees. She is a chi surgeon. You know, it's a healing scraped knees and the occasional broken bone. We're lucky here in the Sages that it's rarely anything more serious. So many children need my help. Too many. Oh, she's a nice person. He's gonna save all the children. What are you doing? Waiting for an appointment, she says. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hang on. I don't know if she's a nice person or not. She's the keeper of the House of Empty Time. I heard that you were the keeper of the House of Empty Time. Then you must have questions. Ask away. How does the House of Empty Time work? A child enters the gate and emerges in another time to find a new family waiting for them. Willing parents register with the keeper in their own time period and after rigorous questioning have names added to the gate itself. After that, she shrugs. Who knows? The children have loving families, and those families have children to love. Why is the House of Empty Time a secret? Because it's not the strongest system in the world. Nobody knows how many trips the old thing can stand, so we use it only for those who really have nowhere else to go. Her face hardens. And if everyone knew about it, some of them would treat it the same way they do other orphanages. We find babies dumped in boxes, small children left crying with nothing but the clothes on their back. She seems to come to a sudden realization of what she's saying, and two bright spots of colour appear on her cheeks. She clears her throat uncomfortably. The people of Sagus have been very good to me, she says, eventually. Why are you in charge of the House of Empty Time? Because I walked through it, she smiles at your reaction. So yes, I was an orphan, and yes, I'm from another time, one much earlier than the present. As a child, I had the unique pleasure of being able to read history books and imagine that my real parents were the heroes of ages past. Her smile dims. And before you ask, my parents in this time are dead, but we spent many happy years together, and I will always be thankful for the time they gave me. Could I adopt a child? I'm afraid not. I don't really want to. One of the main requirements for adoption is a stable environment. If you ever decide to settle in Sagus, then we can talk. Farewell. Right. I didn't really gain anything from that.
Yes.
Yes. The fountain is constructed of a manner that seems halfway between wood and stone. It doesn't contain water, as might be expected. Instead, it's filled with swarming tiny fish-like creatures that leap and cavort in a wriggling mass, chattering to each other in what sounds like 1,000 different tongues. I'm going to listen to what the creatures are saying. You fold your arms, listening intently to fish jabber at each other. It sounds like a cloud of nonsense syllables mashed into baby speak. Perception. A few often repeated sounds tug at your attention. This is no string of gibberish after all. They are speaking a variety of languages, but ones you've never heard before. I'm going to spend more time listening to the creatures. Fish-like creatures continue to gibber, a song of melodic syllables and broken words. Examine the woodstone fountain. The fountain, now that you're looking at it, is unfathomably old. Coppery, tongue-like decorations curl up and over the rim of the structure, as if lapping at the endless stream of creatures within. Catch one of the creatures with my quick fingers. Right. Yeah. Success! You definitely snatch a single fish from the glistening, tumbling flood. The bubbling mass of remaining creatures squawk together in nonsensical outrage. I gained a jelly! Ooh. It's worth loads of money. You caught this creature from a fountain of sorts in Government Square. Small, fish-like, constantly squirming, never requires food or any other nourishment, and it gibbers constantly in an indecipherable language. Try to catch another creature. You close your hand around another fish. Tiny teeth chomp at the flesh between your fingers, and you release it with a curse. Right. Just one fish. You only get one.
Yes.
Right. I definitely shouldn't have sold him that armor. Because...
On my way. All right.
Right.
Don't mind if I do.
Oh, the sound goes all quiet. But here's Aine. Who knows? Who knows? This woman's expression defies easy definition. It's cool and professional, but focused. Interested. She nods at you and clasps her hands. I haven't seen you in here before, she says, her voice oddly muted. Before we begin, you should understand where we are. She gestures to one of the plant-like structures nearby. This is the Red Thicket. No one can listen in to our conversation here. You can only hear me because I'm speaking to you directly. One of her eyebrows arches suddenly. You're trying to scan my thoughts. You won't find anything in my mind, of course. If I could be undone by a simple trick, I'd be out of business. Ah. She flicks the air near her shoulder, though nothing is there. It's a useful skill nonetheless. People's best secrets are rarely found on the surface, but their thoughts can guide you. If you listen, I expect you and I will have much to talk about. Have you come to trade? I can't read your thoughts, but can you read mine? No, she gives you a reassuring smile. If I could, I'd have no need to trade now, would I? Don't worry, I'm a broker, not a thief. Trade what? I'm a knowledge broker, she says. A hunter of information. Come to me with questions, and I have answers, and I will trade them. She straightens further and blinks once, managing to make the simple action look as though it was planned in advance. My pricing is simple. A secret for a secret. The only condition is that it must be one that I do not know already. And I should warn you, I know a great deal. How do you know that I won't claim to know a secret that you've never heard before? A fair question. If she is offended, she doesn't show it. But I don't bother with assurances. You can either judge my honesty yourself or take your business elsewhere. Sounds like a fair... What's the catch? Well spotted. There is one, of course, but it's hardly unexpected. Anything you choose to tell me will of course be traded to others in due time. A rare slight smile graces her lips. In short, if you wish to keep something secret, don't tell it to me. Why don't you trade these secrets directly to the people involved? A number of reasons, she says, but chiefly this. I'm a broker, not a blackmailer. I'm interested in exchanging secrets. Good, she says. What information do you need? I want to propose something different. I'll trade you information for a secret you find interesting. Yeah, I'll give you information for a secret you find interesting. Genuine pleasure warms her face. Agreed. What do you offer? I can tell you some secrets about myself. Would that serve? It might. What can you tell me? You know what? Here's the thing. She knows I'm the cast-off, right? I've got a tattoo, and she's not stupid. The lie's not going to work. And if I say that I'm the falling star, that's going to get people after me. Never mind, I don't want to trade a secret. I see, she says. Very well. Right. I'll come back to her. I'm going to let it go because it's been an hour. But I want to thank you for watching. I've been John Proxy on channel John West. I've been having a Torment Tides of Numenera adventure. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Thank you for watching.